China is friends with Russia, but it helps Ukraine, and that's why. No one expected this, but it is true, and now I will tell you how China, which has very strong, friendly ties with Russia, helps Ukraine fight against Russia. Do not forget to subscribe and also enjoy. To begin with, why China and Russia are such good friends. Geographical proximity. China and Russia have a long border and a history of close geographical proximity, which has facilitated economic and strategic cooperation between the two countries. Strategic interests. Both countries share strategic interests in countering the dominance of the United States in global affairs, as well as in promoting a multipolar world order. Economic cooperation. China and Russia have developed strong economic ties, especially in the energy sector. Russia supplies energy resources to China, and the two countries have also concluded infrastructure and trade agreements for further economic cooperation. Military cooperation. Both China and Russia conduct joint military exercises and participate in military technical cooperation, including signing arms supply deals and joint production of military equipment. General opposition to Western intervention. Both countries have a history of opposing Western-led interventions and have expressed support for each other's positions on issues such as sovereignty and non-interference in internal affairs. In general, the convergence of interests in politics, economics and security contributed to the establishment of strong relations between China and Russia. China will provide Ukraine with $1.5 million in humanitarian aid. The Chinese authorities will allocate a new batch of humanitarian aid to Ukraine in the amount of about $1.5 million in connection with the Russian military operation, said Wang Wenbin, a representative of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. China and Ukraine cooperate in various fields, including trade, investment and infrastructure development. In recent years, there has been a growing partnership between the two countries, with China providing investment and assistance in projects such as the construction of roads, bridges and ports in Ukraine. China is also an important trading partner of Ukraine, importing various goods and products from this country. In addition, the two countries cooperate in the field of science and technology, carrying out joint research projects and exchanges between academic institutions. In general, China and Ukraine are striving to deepen their cooperation in a number of areas, and their partnership continues to develop and expand, despite the situation in the struggle between the two countries. I have already told you that the Chinese economy is strong and beyond the control of even the great American power, and going deeper and deeper into China's politics and sovereignty, everything becomes clear. It is beneficial for China to be helped, it is not profitable for China to be refused. She maintains such friendly relations with Russia solely at the expense of her own benefit and no more. Now I will give examples that will show and prove that China is not such an ideal country, both in terms of politics and in terms of military operations. Disputes in the South China Sea. China has been involved in territorial disputes in the South China Sea with several countries, including the Philippines, Vietnam and Malaysia. China has built artificial islands and military installations in the region, which has led to tensions with neighboring countries and raised concerns about freedom of navigation in the area. Debt trap diplomacy. China has been criticized for engaging in debt trap diplomacy in various countries, especially in Africa and the Pacific, by providing loans for infrastructure projects that recipient countries struggle to repay. This has led to concerns about China's influence and leverage over these countries. Trading practice. China is accused of unfair trade practices, including theft of intellectual property, forced technology transfer and dumping of cheap goods, which have damaged industries in various countries and led to trade tensions with the United States and other countries. Human rights issues. The human rights situation in China, especially in its treatment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang, and the suppression of democratic movements in Hong Kong, has led to widespread condemnation and sanctions from a number of countries. It is important to note that these are complex and sensitive issues, and the points of view and positions regarding China's actions vary from country to country and international organizations. What do you think? Why is China cooperating so closely with Russia? At the expense of its territories and resources? In general, by cooperating with Russia, China can strengthen its position on the world stage, expand its economic and strategic interests, and establish stronger partnerships with a key regional power. The Chinese economy has been steadily developing over the years, demonstrating steady GDP growth and the growing well-being of its citizens. However, there are also problems such as high debt levels and ongoing trade tensions with the United States. In addition, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the Chinese economy, leading to a slowdown in growth in the first months of 2020. In general, the Chinese economy remains one of the largest and most important in the world, and its progress is still closely monitored by economists and politicians around the world, and its strength lies in only one secret: cooperation with all countries in the world, even during a conflict situation between two countries, with one of which she has been friends for a very long time. She will partially help the other side not even become an enemy to the rest of the world and continue playing Monopoly on. EU countries are expressing concern about China for several reasons. Economic competition. China's rapid economic growth and industrial expansion have made it a major player in the global economy. EU countries are concerned about the competitive advantages of Chinese companies, which benefit from government support, subsidies, and lower labor costs. They fear that Chinese companies could undermine European industry and lead to job losses. Unfair trade practices. EU countries have expressed concern about China's unfair trade practices, such as theft of intellectual property, forced technology transfer, and restrictions on market access. This practice creates unequal conditions for European business and prevents fair competition. Human rights and democracy. EU countries value human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. They criticized the human rights situation in China, especially with regard to issues such as freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the treatment of ethnic minorities. The suppression of dissent in Hong Kong and the treatment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang have attracted significant international criticism. Cybersecurity and espionage. There have been reports of Chinese involvement in cyber espionage and intellectual property theft, targeting European companies and governments. EU countries are concerned about the potential risks posed by Chinese technology companies and their involvement in critical infrastructure projects. Belt and Road Initiative. The Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, a large-scale infrastructure and investment project, has caused concern among EU countries. They are concerned about the strategic implications of expanding China's influence through BRI projects, as well as the potential debt burden this could impose on recipient countries. Disinformation and influence operations. EU countries have expressed concern about Chinese disinformation campaigns and influence operations aimed at shaping public opinion and political discourse. They are afraid of attempts to manipulate public perceptions and influence decision-making processes. It is important to note that although EU countries have concerns about China, they also maintain economic and diplomatic relations with China. The EU seeks to engage with China on issues of mutual interest while addressing problematic areas through dialogue, negotiation, and, if necessary, taking measures to protect its. On this note, I would like to summarize. Write in the comments what you think about China's help to Ukraine, which is also friends with Russia, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video. New videos every 2 days.